What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here. Tier List Tuesday coming at you with another one. And this week we are looking at the top 50 albums of all time according to Rate Your Music. So, Rate Your Music has got a very specific user base, and their top 50 is very Rate Your Music core. Today we will be finding out how close Rate Your Music core is to Taste Like Music core. There's some overlap, but not entirely.
Yeah, Rate Your Music generally is terrible. It's sort of like a self-perpetuating thing where it's just like it brings in the people that think the same way, and it's a really weird top 50, and it's really disturbing to me. It's very much like nothing else. Like it's sort of like a little bit Pitchfork core. It's a little bit like Fantano core, but you'll quickly find out exactly like what types of albums they really just like love. And I think the problem is like there's no one who like doesn't love those albums and have listened to them. So you don't get that like checks and balances of people like, what the hell is this? 2 stars. It's just this, you know, frenzy of 5-star ratings for weird ass albums.
So we've talked about Rate Your Music in other videos of ours. We've looked at our community charts where we've taken the usernames of everyone in our Patreon and kind of we've kind of segmented ourselves off of the rest of the site. But I mean, the ultimate dream is to have enough people playing along with us and doing these yearly deep dives and the album of the week stuff, and just really build a user base over there that can kind of dismantle that Rate Your Music core. That would be the dream. Okay, so here we go. These are the top 50 albums currently on Rate Your Music site wide. Okay, first one is Bjork, Homogenic. My number one Bjork album, 5 stars for me. I'm trying to look here quickly over them and see how many other 5 stars for me there are. There's a few. I don't know if it makes sense for me to argue to put all of those in S, or if there's some kind of line between them where some of my fives would go in A and some would go in S. I guess I'd just go in S with it.
It was 4.5 for me. Probably would land in A based on what I know of this list, but I mean, we can always drop it down if we
I
end up
mean,
with way
there's
too many misses.
there's definitely more records that I like more than it still to come, so
Hmm.
that's fine. We can go A.
Okay, that's good. Good start.
All right, then we got another Bjork record. I guess these are alphabetical by artist, so we'll get a couple back to back. This is Vespertine here. Another very good Bjork record. I like a lot. I don't like it quite as much as Homogenic. Probably go in the B tier with this for me.
Yeah, I think this one's one of those super overrated albums that's still good. So B is fine.
Okay, Paranoid by Black Sabbath. I mean, probably S. I guess it's not my favorite Sabbath record, but I mean, it is great still. I don't know if I have it at
That's
5 stars though. Actually, I don't think I do. I think I have it at 4.5 maybe.
I only have it at 4.5. I think it's a fantastic album. This is the 21st rated album on Rate Your Music. And I feel like they just overrate it. I feel like everyone overrates this just because it was like the first one. It's not, it was, I think it was like 5 or 6 for me. So as much as, we'll probably get shit for that, but I say A.
You can go ahead of Bjork though.
Yeah.
All right. Cocteau Twins, Heaven or Las Vegas. This was a big revelation for you when we covered the Cocteau Twins on the channel. I forget what I had it at. Was it my number one?
I think it was. I think you had it at 4 stars.
4, I
Number
think. Yeah.
one. Cramser was the weird one who didn't have it at number one.
So yeah, 4 stars. I'd say like low B then compared to other stuff here.
I mean, technically, I had it at 5 stars, so theoretically, it should be ahead of everyone for me. But comparatively, it is 1990. I don't know. I mean, I would have it by homogenic, but
Okay, well, we could go like
somewhere around there. It's fine.
there-ish. Okay. All right, then we got Danny Brown, Atrocity Exhibition. Obviously, I'm not a big rap guy. I'm not that familiar with it. But as far as rap goes, I mean, I guess Danny Brown I appreciate more than some others.
I like Danny Brown. I really like JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown's Scare in the Hose. I like it more than this one. I don't know. This is one that's sudden, like seemingly recently popped onto the charts here. And I think it's probably for this list like a D tier. Like it's probably like a 3.5 star album for me. And if you're looking at a top 50 album of all time, it's got to be D tier. I mean, it's where is it on RYM? It's like it's 40th of all time. It's not the 40th best album of all time. And anyone who thinks it is, I don't know, they shouldn't be listening to music, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of RYM core feels like it's there because of younger generations that haven't explored the past enough. That's how it kind of feels to me. Uh,
It's also like a weird like snooty kind of version of music where like Danny Brown's very experimental. Like all the hip hop and rap on this chart, except for like one, is very like not mainstream and like purposely kind of arty. And I feel like they just are trying way too hard with a lot of these picks.
well, the next one, I think they got right. That's an S. Can we go to S with that? Is that safe to do?
Yeah. That's their 13th. So it's not like they're completely out of their minds on Rate Your Music. Like they still appreciate Bowie, and that's, something we can all get behind.
All right, Death Grips. Not my thing.
I'd have it an F. It's like a 2 star album for me. Nothing I like about that.
Fishman's I'm not that familiar with. I know that they're like for whatever reason very popular on Rate Your Music.
One of two Fishman's albums on it. Just the most hilarious thing to me. This is always the most confounding of all the Rate Your Music artists. Fishman's post 1995, I think, because they have some earlier records apparently that nobody likes. But whatever they did in 96 with Long Season, suddenly they became just like the greatest band of all time. This is the live version. And I was listening the other day because I hadn't heard it. It's fine. Like it's a solid 3 star album. So it would go, I mean, it's a D tier for sure.
All
It's,
right.
it's I mean, it would be, according to Rate Your Music, the second best live album. It just seems suspect, like to even like say that out loud.
Yeah, it feels a little like, and like, when did it even happen? It's not like I don't think this critical acclaim existed in 96 when it came out, did it? Like, seems like
No,
maybe within the last few years, someone discovered it and people thought it was cool because no one had heard it before.
definitely, 100%.
Uh, could be wrong, but man,
No, you're right.
that's how it feels. Are we going to D with both of these Fishmans?
Um,
I,
yeah, I think so.
I have
I
to
don't
rely.
think either of them. Long Season is one song, and that's just horrible. A horrible way to make an album.
I'll rely on you for that because I'm not that familiar with them. But
I mean, I think you would think they're fine, but I can't imagine that you would like really, really like them.
next up is Blonde by Frank Ocean. I know you're sort of a Frank Ocean fan. I don't know if we're talking about him in terms of top 50 all time. I remember listening to this when it came out because it was getting so much praise and just not understanding the hype at all.
No, I have a personal vendetta against this album actually, because I love Channel Orange, and this was just the most confusing album I'd ever heard because it is so boring. The production is so bad. It's everything that was cool about Channel Orange, and he Like he sounds like a Drake album. Like I people love his lyrics, I guess, and the personal nature of it, but all I can hear is the shitty production. So for me, this is it's like 2.5 to 3 stars. So I mean, I'd put it at D. It's better than Death Grips, but I don't understand that one. That one's where no, I think it's 48. Yeah, 48.
All right, and then we've got two records from Godspeed You Black Emperor, some post rock. I don't know this first record here really at all. F sharp, A sharp, Infinity. I have heard this record at least in part. Um, just post rock's not really my thing, so I have very little interest in this band. I haven't heard this one at all. Have you heard that record?
No, that's one of the two I haven't heard. I didn't even bother listening to it because it wasn't in the top 50 because I think I had some filter on or something. So I was like, okay, only one. But now we get two. They both I'm sure that one sucks, but lift your skinny hands to God or whatever is it would be F for me.
That's fine with me.
Some of my least favorite type of
That's gonna
music.
really upset. But there's people who I've seen just talk about this record like it changed their lives, and it makes it hard to fathom what their lives were like prior to hearing it.
Makes yeah.
Okay, then we get a Love Supreme by John Coltrane, classic jazz record. Somewhat challenging. It's not like the easiest jazz record to get into, but I do think it's pretty cool. It's not a personal favorite of mine. It's not like something I have a deep love for, even though I appreciate it. For me, I would probably go C with it.
C's fine. Bebop is just never going to be my favorite thing. And the only type of jazz that people like on Rate Your Music is bebop. So sorry to all the bebop lovers out there. It's just not really gonna ever be my favorite.
Then we get Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. You have a long history on the channel.
Another album that I have a vendetta against. There's
we've
seem to be popping up a lot on Rate Your Music.
we've never covered Joy Division on the channel, and yet I think everyone who watches us is aware that you are not a fan of Joy Division. I'm not really either. Um, yeah, I don't think he is a very good singer at all, and I think the production on these records is just overly murky. I guess that's maybe what people like about it, but
Yeah, I mean he's my least favorite singer of all time. So I don't particularly like it. I mean, I love the bass. I love the sound of the bass, and that's about it. So, like this one is 2.5 stars, so it would be F. But wherever, if you want to upgrade it to a D,
not really. We can put it like top of F because it's probably better than these two.
it's yeah, it is better than those two. I will go with that.
All right, I'll let you take the lead here on these Kanye records and where they belong. Again, kind of how I was talking about Danny Brown. I can see like how revolutionary these records were and sort of the interesting stuff he was doing with production. But am I ever going to listen to these records? Especially now, it's like not the right time to get into Kanye. So
Oh no, that ship has sailed with all the Nazi talk from old Mr. West. He's really breaking my heart. I would have My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy I put it A because I think it's good. It's the 25th rated of all time on Rate Your Music, and it has maybe the most, or I think it does have the second most, third most, fourth most. It's like a top five like number of ratings, so everybody's got an opinion. And it's slightly overrated. It's a good album, but I only had it at like 4.5 somewhere. But College Dropout, that was my winner for 2004. Probably my favorite rap album of all time. It is a 5-star album for me. So I mean I would put that one on an S or at least ahead of it's tough to put it ahead of Black Sabbath, but
I
I'm
can't.
gonna
Yeah.
go with
Well,
it. It
well,
revolutionized rap, and I think at that point Kanye was the best, producer, songwriter of rap of all time.
given my complete indifference to those records, I can't let it go to S.
That's fine. That's
We'll
fine.
put it in A. Okay, then we got another artist that you fell in love with during the course of uh, our channel. I think you were starting to fall in love with her prior, but
Pushed me
Kate
over the top.
Kate Bush, Hounds of Love.
I mean, I like it a lot. 185. It's 5 stars. But looking at some of these other albums, it would be like top of A, I think, for me. I don't think it's quite an all-timer, despite how much I love Kate Bush.
It
And
would be
it's especially because of that second half. Like the first half is just perfect, but it gets a little challenging in that second half. So
it would be C tier for me. So we'll go like bottom of A, or should we go down to B? I don't know. Right there's fine, I guess.
we can bump.
All right. Portishead, Dummy. Not really my favorite genre. Not really into the trip hop stuff. So
I'd have it C.
yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same.
I think I have it like 3.5 stars. But like no, I don't even think it's as good as some of the better Massive Attack albums. So
And then we got a couple from Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly. These are records that I checked out like in their release years when they were getting so much praise just to see what all the hype was about, and neither one really did a ton for me. If I do dig some of the more like jazz heavy influence on the to Pimp a Butterfly. So if I had to pick one, I would lean in that direction. But for me, they're probably both. Uh, I don't know, D tier.
I'm not the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan. I think most people know that by now. And I never quite got Good Kid, Mad City, even though like it has a ton of great producers and Dr. Dre was all over it. And then I heard it, I was like, There's no way this is Dre." But I don't know. I would have that one like D. I've just never had an urge to listen to it. To Pimp a Butterfly, I think is better. The jazz stuff, it really sort of like, I don't know. He was a huge instrumental part of like the jazz rap coming into like the mainstream, which is cool, but I think it gets overrated. And like I just don't love that style ever. So I don't know. It would be like C,
Bottom,
probably.
bottom of C. Then we get two from King Crimson, In the Court of the Crimson King, and Red.
What did
Red.
you read number one?
I believe Red was my winner. Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't think Court of the Crimson King was even my number two. I feel like I went 3 or 4 with it.
Hmm. It's my winner. It's my number one. 5 stars easily for me. Red was second for me, and I think 4.5 stars. So I like them both. They're very similar, but like in different eras almost of prog. It's almost like proto prog versus like typical 70s prog. So I don't know. I'd have one in S and one in A, but you'd probably have both in A.
Yeah, either but I mean I like so I my feeling would probably be both an A, but then looking at what's in each of those tiers already, like I like them more, I guess more than the Kanye stuff. But yeah. Yeah, I probably put both in A at this point.
You can throw them at the top of A or whatever around. They're another super like RYM core artist. You find like all of their albums really high up. In the Core of the Crimson King is sixth all time on Rate Your Music. So We've got a lot of love for that one. And Red is 28. So
That's a
it's
record that I think it was always highly regarded, and especially when it first came out, it was like very important. But I feel like when we were kids and when I was growing up, I feel like Prague had kind of, you know, critical thinking of Prague was maybe at an all-time low through the
mm-hmm.
80s and 90s, and so I don't think you would have seen it on a lot of like all-time lists, and if you did, it would be maybe lower, like maybe in the 40s, 50s. Um, but I think in recent years, Prague has had a sort of a little bit of a comeback, especially online on YouTube. We've talked about how big Prague is, and yeah, I think it kind of makes sense that it's sort of shot back up lists like this.
It's funny because on like reggae music core, jazz, and like the experimental hip hop, but also metal and prog are like super well regarded, which is, you know, goes against like the standard critical thinking of music where it was always like kind of treated as a, stepchild compared to like post-punk and punk and stuff like that. So it is interesting to see like all, the metal and the prog community have really gathered and taken over Rate Your Music presence online.
Okay, then we get MF Doom, Mad Villainy.
Fifth rated all time.
That's, I mean, I as far as hip hop goes, maybe it is one of the best.
I don't
I'm
I
not
don't
that well versed, but of all the hip hop that I've ever heard, it's like the closest to winning me over. But uh, fifth all time, no.
I mean, I get it, like it's funny and stuff and experimental and jazzy, but I also don't really get it, and I don't understand why like he's held as like the greatest. I guess because he was really early in the development of it. For me, though, it's behind. I mean, it'd be behind Kendrick, so at best, C.
Behind To Pimp a Butterfly, but what about Good Kid?
Uh, eh, I guess it would be ahead of Good Kid.
Bottom of C, ahead of Danny Brown.
Yeah, I mean that Danny Brown.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine. And then we get two from Miles Davis. So yeah, we got In a Silent Way, and we've got Kind of Blue. I probably don't feel super, you know, different about these records. I like Miles. I like these. I probably like both of these a little bit more than A Love Supreme.
Yeah,
So
I'm
either
fine with
like
that.
top of C or bottom B maybe even.
I think I like. Hmm, I think which I like more. Probably Kind of Blue more. It's from 1959. It's a little less experimental, a little more cool.
I think I kind of agree. Maybe Kind of Blue goes bottom B and Silent Way goes top of C.
That's fine.
All right, then we get another jazz record. We got Mingus, The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady. This was a 63 record on the top of a lot of people's lists for 63. Maybe I'm just too much of a jazz noob, but I don't really see why this record is, held up so high, especially ahead of, your Miles Davises and your John Coltrane's. And there's other Mingus records that I like more than this one. So for me, it would be right in that same area as Silent Way and Love Supreme. So in that sort of top of C area.
Yeah, I like it better probably than either of those Miles Davis ones. It was pretty high up my list in 80 or in 63. And I kind of get it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's the best jazz album of all time, which is what Rate Your Music considers. It's 14th their chart. So I don't quite get it, but I also think it's a very good album, but I don't know. That's fine. C, B, whatever.
Okay, then we get Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. a record that's adjacent to a lot of things that I like a lot. Your Dinosaur Juniors, Jay and Kevin Shields are good buddies. Can't say that I am as in love with this record as many seem to be, as much as people are at least pretending to be, I guess I should say. Uh,
It's good to hear you say that. I mean, I listened to it again. I've heard it before, and I love a couple tracks, and I don't really care for the other, 50%, we'll say. So I don't know. I'd have it bottom of B, somewhere around C tier.
it'd be middle of the C for me. It'd be just below all that jazz stuff, but ahead of the others.
That's fine. That's good. Put it in its place. It's not the ninth best album of all time.
Next, we've got Illmatic by Nas. This is one I'll have to.
You've never heard Illmatic?
I've heard some of it. I've never heard it as a full album.
I like Illmatic. It is sort of like the poster child for the type of rap that radio music likes because it kind of kicked off like the more experimental, like a little jazzier. They used like a bunch of different producers, which they hadn't done much up until then. And people talk about it, they usually consider it the best or a top, 10 rap album of all time. I always prefer Jay-Z to Nas, but I think at least a 4-star album. So whatever you want to do. I mean, I guess since you haven't heard it, I can kind of pick its placement. But B, yeah, B's fine.
All right, then we've got Neutral Milk Hotel, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, a record which I like. Before we go further, I want to go on record saying I like this record. I owned it. I had the CD, um, but it's like a 3.5, maybe sniffing 4 stars, kind of record. Top 50 of all time though. It didn't even make my top 25 for 1998. So definitely overrated. So looking at other stuff here, this would be like probably like the bottom of B, maybe even in C.
I had it 3.5 stars. So, I mean, to me, it's right around Loveless and Dummy. Like it's sort of in that, like, it's fine, but considering it that the 31st greatest album of all time is Rate Your Music does, is just one of those crazy, insano opinions.
All right, next up we got Nick Drake, and I don't really know if I've ever heard you talk about Nick Drake much.
Um,
This would be a S tier for me, but I don't know how you feel.
I had it just outside the top 25 in 1972, which means it's a 4-star album in my book. So I'm not letting you put it in S. You can put it in A, wherever you want an A, but it's definitely not one of the great albums of all time. Where was it for you? Top 10?
It was originally in my top 5, and I think it just fell out. So I think it was like 6 or 7, something like that. How's that?
Fine.
Then we got 3 from Pink Floyd. Can we just skip the line and just put Dark Side in S right out of the gate?
Yeah, it's fine.
Animals, is that even your preferred? Do you like Animals? Is that your number one?
That was my number two.
To Dark Side.
No, Dark Side wasn't my number one.
Wish you were here. Here was.
Yes.
Ooh, we're gonna have to have to battle that out. Then.
I have to parse this one out. But you, I mean, I would put them all in S, but you just put them where you would put them and then up like a half.
I would go like this.
You have to put Wish You Were Here in A.
All right. Is
Fine.
that
Fine,
is that all
fine.
right? Here's another one we disagree on. In Rainbows. This is yeah, probably I mean S, but also I like it less than Pink Moon. So at least A for me.
And to me, it would be C, but I don't know. It's one of those split ones. I mean, we split on Kate Bush, so
Yeah, where's that leave
uh,
us? Like,
and you could do the bottom of A or top of B.
we go there. Kid A.
These a lot of A's.
Do you like Kid A more or less than In Rainbows?
More, but not like a lot more. I just think it's much more interesting.
I think it's way less interesting. I think it's
Less interesting?
I think In Rainbows kind of has the interesting sounds and soundscapes, but also has really good songs. And for me, Kid A just has never connected melodically. It's a little just experimental for experimental's sake.
Well, In Rainbows is the fourth highest rated. Kid A is the seventh. Usually, if you look on like Pitchfork and like the highfalutin stuck up online publications, you'll have Kid A number one. And for me, neither of them would sniff the top, I don't know, 5,000 favorite albums of all time for me. 1,000. So, I don't know, put it wherever, I don't care. Just put it
Okay.
ahead of Neutral Milk Hotel, that's all I ask.
Okay. I was gonna put it right below it. All right. Yeah, I think it goes there. And then OK Computer for me would go S.
Yes, you know.
Wu Tang Clan. That's all you.
It's a really fun album. I wouldn't go as high as I don't like as much as Kanye. So it'd probably be like top of B for me.
Okay. How's it compared to Nas?
I like it more than Nas, but not like a lot more. So
How about yeah, right there is fine.
that's fine.
All right, then we got Slow Dive, Souvlaki. If Kramer's still here, he'd be trying to pull up to a higher tier, but yeah, probably C tier for me.
Yeah, I like souvlaki, the chicken uh Greek dish, much poor. So yeah, C's fine.
Stevie Wonder.
Easy S. The rare uh the rare hit for Rate Your Music. Rare win for Rate Your Music on that one.
4.5 stars for me, but we can yeah. So yeah, I like this whole first chunk of A top more than Stevie there.
Well, I do not.
And then we got Slint. This is one of those records that's
Straight to
fine.
F. Straight to the F.
Straight F. I had it at three stars. I'm pretty sure I put their entire catalog at 3 stars.
All two
All two
albums.
records. Um, but I like it less than a good bit less than Neutral Milk Hotel. So probably like D tier for me. You're saying F.
I'd put it below F, but
All right,
wherever.
we go.
It might be better than
I don't know
Death
if I
Grips.
care enough to defend it that much. So, Remain in Light. This was one of your most controversial takes in the history of the channel. Has that take changed at all since we made that video?
No, I think it's 3 stars.
It's S tier for me, but so what's three for you? Is that C or?
Three for me would be like D tier.
Wow, that's outrageous. All right, so what do we? You want to keep it out of the A tier?
Um, I mean, it is literally I feel exactly the same way about In Rainbows as I do that. So whatever you want to do, I don't care.
I like it more than In Rainbows. Oh, do I? I don't know. Pretty close. I might. Yeah, maybe it depends on the day. Um, it feels like a more important record than In Rainbows, though.
Certainly.
Uh, so let's put it ahead of In Rainbows, one spot. All right, then we got a string of easy S's, I hope. Abbey
Looks.
Road, Pet Sounds, Revolver.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no complaints, no qualms about that one.
Okay.
I believe the Beatles ones have fallen off. I thought Abbey Road was number one on radio music for a while. It's down to 11. Pet Sounds is 30th. I don't even know where Sergeant Pepper is. It's all the way down to 44th.
All right, Disintegration by The Cure. It's a great record. I like it a lot. I think it was in my top five. I'm pretty sure it was in my top five for the year it came out. It's not quite like all time favorite though. It's probably like top of B tier right now for me.
That's fine. Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper's,
It's no doubter S for me.
Queen is Dead.
That's tough. I don't know if I like it more than Animals or Court of the Crimson King
Yeah,
or Wish You
definitely.
Were Here.
Yeah, not that high. It's probably pretty close to how I feel about Disintegration.
I had it 5 stars.
I think I have both at five as well. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about that.
Well, I like it significantly more than Disintegration. I'll say that.
I probably like it ever so slightly less. All right. I gotta say, this being the third tier list that we've done, this one's feeling maybe the least correct. I don't know. All right, then we've got the Glow. What have we done the other one that you haven't heard yet?
No, not yet.
Is it this one or is it Igor?
No, it's Igor. So you can throw Igor in the haven't heard.
I've heard songs from it. It's kind of cool, but
People keep telling
cannot
me this.
imagine from what I've heard of it that it would be in the top 50 albums of all time.
Yeah, probably not. So how do we feel about Glow?
I don't really know it.
I think it sucks. I put an F.
F. All right.
Yeah, I hate it. It was did you listen to the one from '03?
Uh, did I?
Mount Erie was from 2003.
Oh yeah, I did not listen to the Mount Erie.
Yeah, that one was at the scraping the very bottom of my list. Hated it in a lot of ways. And this one was really no better. I guess okay, it wouldn't be F. It would be D. It would be bottom of D probably. I like it more than Slint. But no, yeah, put an F. No, screw it. F. It's F. For a top 50 list, it's F. It's insane to have it in the top 50.
All right, Velvet Underground and Nico.
Just, you know how I feel about this.
Yeah, and I don't feel quite as harshly, but I also have somewhat similar reservations about it. Um, it's tough.
I mean, I had it at 4 stars. It did make it to 4 stars. There's some cool stuff on it. Its existence is kind of annoying to me, and it's not the number one best album of 1967, but I don't know. I hate it less than I used to. I'll say that.
I like it more than Kid A, probably. It's hard to
Mhm.
compare to all the jazz stuff in this chunk of the tier list. So I don't know. I would probably listen to it more often than some of that stuff. Maybe right there feels good.
It's fine. 'Cause I think our S tier is no doubt. No problems there. Everything else is a little wonky, probably. The A tier has like so much, uh, I don't know, like Black Sabbath. Only one Black Sabbath in the top 50. The only metal album in the whole top 50. Just really weird friggin' list. There's two Fishman's albums in the top 50 and only one thing that could even be like close to metal.
There's a lot of super critically acclaimed stuff here that we've kind of, you know, spoke harshly of and rated harshly and put low on this tier list. And if you're watching this video and you think that we are uncultured swine, uh, maybe Taste Like Music's not the channel for you. But if you're watching this and you feel that, like we do, that having some of these records in the top 50 of all time is preposterous, then you should probably be subscribed, and you should probably also make a Rate Your Music account and help us combat this madness, this insanity. So let's turn it around. Let's change the definition of Rate Your Music Core. We can do it together.
There's no Led Zeppelin in the top 50. Like, come on. Who's the biggest like omission? I mean, it's got to be Zeppelin, right?
Yeah, Zeppelin's a pretty big, obvious one. Where's the first Zeppelin record? If you go further down the list, does one show up soon?
Zeppelin 4 is in like the low 50s. Like it's not like too far out. And I'm pretty sure it used to be in the top 50 until Fishman's bumped it out. But you just have some weird, oh God, maybe it's 69th. That's insane. Like where's Bob Dylan? Like I
Yeah,
can't believe I'm
where's
saying like where's Bob Dylan?
we do have one Bowie, but only one Bowie is surprising actually.
But we want, yeah. No White Album, which is weird. And if you go through like 50 to 100, like you see more Bowie, there's an Elliott Smith way too high up, Marvin Gaye, Black Star's 60th all time, which is nuts. And then you finally get a Bob Dylan at 63, just slightly ahead of Sufjan Stevens and Swans. And it's just some weird stuff. Like there's another Black Sabbath at 72, but I don't know. It's just such a weird ass top 100.
It's a really weird thing to me. It's one thing to see like one person's personal list and go, okay, like that's what you're into. That's fine. If that's what your taste in music is. But to have an entire internet's worth of people, it just feels like this weird collective like hive mind posturing happening. It's very
Hmm.
strange.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's just I don't know. There's no I'm trying to think of the right word. Like the people like these artists and there's no like critical thought going into like where they would even land. Like they see like a Fishman that's like 5 stars. It's like, oh, a post rock album. Like they're all 5 stars. Like you can't just like throw out these ratings because you get charts like this where you have like 5 Swans albums and like Sigur Rós at 102 all time and like Sweet Trip and just all these mid ass artists that shouldn't be anywhere near like a top 500 with like multiple entries. Like if you want to put like the best post rock album of all time, like the first one in the top 100 or something, like that's fine. Like at least be like somewhat critical in what you're rating and how you're rating things. Like it just becomes like you said, a hive mind when you have all these artists kind of from the same type of music just like popping up in a top 100 without like rhyme or reason.
Looking at it from the other side of things, it's easy. I mean, I see the argument coming that, at the same time that we're saying that, like maybe a little bit we are overly classic rockist and
100%.
and gatekeeping some of these other genres a little and uh you know uh keeping out newer stuff a little more and leaning heavily on classic rock 80s 70s 80s 60s stuff, but like at the same time the music from those decades is, I think, I mean, you can like it more or less and argue, and not everything from the past is necessarily better than things happening now. But historically speaking, they carry more weight, I think.
Yeah, I mean, carry more weight, more critical beloved. They sold more copies. Like there's just a million reasons to have them higher up. And it's not a critical rating. Like it's just groups of people voting, and this is just how it turned out because this is the type of people that are attracted to rate your music. And I mean, there's nothing really you can even do about it because it's just going to keep perpetuating itself in endless cycles. And you're going to have like six Kendrick Lamar albums in the top 50 eventually because that's the type of person it keeps bringing. And these people who love abstract hip hop. And yet, where's Jay-Z? Like where's Rakim? Like where's some of the older rap artists that sort of set the stage? Like just having all these abstract experimental rap artists, like I'm fine with having, a bunch of rap and R&B and hip hop on here, but it's just the same type of thing that just like takes over everything. And then for somehow like and then you have weird stuff like Kanye West sneaking in even though everyone hates him. I guess like there's some good stuff, like the prog stuff is good because it's better represented than you would get in a normal list. And you just have everyone being like, okay, King Crimson and Pink Floyd is going to have five of the albums, and then nothing from any other prog artist even sniffs.
Yeah.
It seems ridiculous. Like, where's Genesis? Where's Yes? Like, come on, like, have a little self-respect when you're rating these things.
Well, that's our public service announcement for the day. Yeah, let us know what you think of how we rated these. There was a good bit of public backlash to our prog list, and I'm sure this will be no different. Tier list Tuesdays are shaping up to be pretty brutal, but whatever, we don't care.
Nope.
That's how we see them. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find Patreon and social media in the video description. And we will see you next week for another tier list every Tuesday. Thanks for watching. See you then.